Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day and a wonderful weekend. Thanks for watching and joining in on the fun here. Solana looks like it wants to recover and bounce off this nice little 0.618 fib level here. So we're going to talk a little bit about the situation at hand here. This little, you could say it's a bullish type of rectangle. That's kind of what I was thinking. But the truth is patterns mean very little if there's a significant amount of divergence, which there isn't. So we're going to talk about Solana, best case, worst case scenario, kind of just give you the facts as is without any bias. Again, you should never feel emotional when you trade. Hopefully I can bring that element to the equation here and give you some, some logical thought processes on taking a trade, or more importantly, just what to look for when you want to consider a trade with a coin like this. Now, I cover Solana pretty much every single day minus Sundays, so I'm going to have some familiarity here, but I can tell you over the years, months, whatever the case, I've been covering Solana for about 3 to 4 years. It's not really something that I'm like passionate about. And I know it sounds weird. It's like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? But the truth is, I don't feel attached to any coin. Okay, I add to my spot bag whenever I can for Solana, Bitcoin, SUI, and a handful of other coins that obviously you see me cover consistently. Dogwoof Hat, for example, the only meme I really like to invest in. So there's a handful of other things that I like to look at, but I'm mentioning that because it's important to recognize that I'm not going to have a bias one way or the other, and you shouldn't either. Doesn't matter how great the project is, you're going to find manipulation in the market consistently. And this tool here with liquidation is a good tool to kind of identify that, right? So this is what we're going to look at here. So quickly to note, 245 to 240, that lower liquidation range, of course, where there's a good chunk of people taking longs. Again, high leverage longs here at 245 might get swept, but the likelihood of that's pretty low now that we've bottomed out tentatively. And what I mean by that is we've established higher lows, which is excellent. We're also maintaining a pretty good range with an origination from the downside that usually breaks to the upside because it's a continuation pattern and essentially honoring those ascending trends. Okay, so we'll talk about that and see that here in a minute. But when we take a look here, again, easy way to remember it, 240, 245 is that lower range. We got that 273 to 275, basically 270 to 275, and then 240 to 245. Those are the two areas of concentration for liquidation. And these are areas in which the whales will target. They'll set limit orders consistently to get the price to that level. And then at that point, they move the market wherever they see fit. They pump it or dump it, and then they get a bunch of late shorts or longs to buy in, and they just continue to rinse and repeat. It's a very vicious cycle, but if you kind of understand generally how it works, you're going to be a lot more successful. Again, it may not be monumental, but it will be beneficial. Okay. Having said that, liquidation delta, more shorts than longs in the market right now. These shorts are probably going to have a bad day here soon, just because they're probably shorting a little too heavy. Now, we can't see that reflect on the charts here locally, but if we do zoom out, maybe we consider going back to, hold on, actually, let's add Bybit. And then let's go ahead and go back to the last 12 hours. And this is what we want to look at here and kind of see roughly where we're at, because this does help us understand some important stuff. Hold on, maybe it's throwing out because of that. There we go. Okay, so when we take a look here, we can see majority of the local liquidation has been swept here. There's late shorts at about 260, 258, but there's again that big chunk at 245. All right, cool. So glad we checked that. That's really, forget I even looked at that honestly, because that didn't help too much. But the truth is a lot of liquidation here is occurring, and a lot of shorts are going to have a bad day because there's more shorts than longs in the market. Keep in mind, that's also something to be mindful of, right? If more people are shorting right now, the likelihood of the price action going lower is also higher, right? But again, it makes no sense to short into an uptrend. At least that's me personally. And again, this isn't like a monumental uptrend. It's range-bound activity, but it originated as an uptrend and likely to retest that upper range. When 260 is what we're looking for. We want a closure above 260 and we're golden. I mentioned that with our community here earlier too. Again, this type of rectangle pattern here is generally favorable, especially contributing factors with moving averages, etc. Okay. Oh, quick congrats too, while we got this pulled up here, to our committee here for some nice profits on our Bitcoin long, 29% Chainlink, 20% there. We've had to adjust a lot of take profit targets lately because the market is just not giving us great opportunities, or just taking longs or shorts at the wrong time, right? That's generally what it boils down to, but you can't catch them all. And a lot of times with swing trading, you kind of got to learn to adjust and move with the market, okay? And give it a wide berth too, because there was somebody yesterday in my community that was saying something to the effect of, 50x leverage, with a small balance is the same thing as low leverage with a high balance. The truth is not, because higher leverage moves your liquidation event much closer to your origination where you start the trade, and that is generally unfavorable. That gives you a lot less flexibility, okay? Again, I'd much rather have flexibility with a larger position than have to worry about going to bed. I'm going to trigger a stop loss overnight, right? Again, a lot of different strategies out there, but let's focus back on here. So let's take a look here. Daily time frame. We look at this here. We can recognize that we are above all moving averages. Super awesome. The bullish scenario here is still good, right? There's nothing here bearish about the daily time frame. You could argue that stochastic's swinging down a little bit. It's a hidden bearish divergence. But you hear me being sarcastic because I think that's garbage when people do that. They're stretching, they're reaching, and a lot of times people will look for these little cracks in the glass that occasionally they'll be right about. They'll post on social media and forget to highlight the other times they've been wrong. And again, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being kind of like, abstract here and not looking at the data here with an emotional bias, right? Or to try to attach yourself to some small little glimmer of hope. The truth is the daily time frame here is fantastic. While the price action can still pull back to the low $200 range, we have tons of support there, by the way, it'll still be considered bullish, all right? That's the general consensus here. And again, that doesn't help a lot because you want to look at smaller time frames to identify these smaller, more micro plays. But on the same accord, if you know going into it that the overall trend is up and you're trying to short, it doesn't make a ton of sense, right? And again, not saying you can't still short this with success, right? At this point here, anybody who's shorted both these 260 ranges have been probably pretty successful. The problem is most people don't know how to secure profits, and they're trying to hold down to this low $200 mark, and now they're in the red on their green trade. Okay, don't do that. Don't be greedy. Set targets before you take a trade. Never just take a trade, walk away, and act as if you're going to take care of it later. Okay, you go in with a strategy. You know what you want out of it. You set your targets. You set everything up. And then you walk away sleeping, knowing that you can actually rest at night without having to worry about a stop loss being triggered. Because again, it meets your risk tolerance, right? That's what it's supposed to do. Okay, anyways, I teach all this in my Trading Academy community signals group. Feel free to check that out in your own time. I don't have enough time in my videos to describe all that stuff, but I can tell you it's very important. Proper risk management is pretty much half of trading. The other half is what we're looking at here. The 4-hour time frame, we can see we're above both moving averages here, right? This is creating somewhat of an ascending trend. While we're not seeing specifically higher highs, I mean, they are 243 versus 247. That is higher high. The key takeaway is we're not seeing lower lows. And at this point here, this range-bound activity originated from the downside generally will favor to the upside, okay? And again, the main reason why is because there's momentum, the overall trend is generally higher, and you're looking at a lot of confirming factors, such as being over 50 on the RSI. Money flow index is higher than that. That's phenomenal. Stochastic RSI swinging up. There's a lot of reasons here as to why it makes a lot more sense going up than down with this coin. So again, while it's not perfect, never truly is, we got a lot of reasons why this upper liquidation range is going to get hit pretty hard. Take a look at the hourly time frame. Ichimoku Cloud, we can confirm here as well with range-bound activity, gives us a lot of false positives. And this doesn't really tell us we're in a phenomenal situation, right? Because the truth is when you're under the cloud, it's not great. That's kind of averaging itself out here at that 260 mark. That is our all-time high. And to clarify, folks, to all the trolls who like to say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he has all-time high on the charts. This is the all-time high from like 4 years ago, back in 2021, which is still relevant, 260. It was retested again here locally, okay, back in November. So I just have that on the chart to give me mental, understanding that this is a very key level. And the truth is, minus this one outlier of 261, we still have yet to close above 260, okay? If Solana can close soundly 260, 265, I think we're going to see further upside. And that's kind of a confirming factor I'm looking for. Now, again, you got to recognize that as soon as we reach 260, you don't just take a long position because that happened. You want to give it some time to mature, but the truth is, for the most part, the daily and the 4-hour time frame looking pretty strong. Hourly is shifting momentum, but again, range-bound activity provides these compression zones, and compression zones typically break harder in either direction. And what direction do you think it's going to break when everything else is fully bullish? I don't know. To me, it makes more sense the price is going to go up. That's just, again, just the logic that I take this logic I apply rather when I take trades. So whether that works for you or not is up to you. That's fine, but it works really well for me, and we're fairly consistent as a community because of it. While I do miss a ton of opportunities, I'm not going to lie. Like being a very conservative trader, you're going to be sitting on a lot of missed rockets, so to speak. But again, I'd much rather miss a rocket than I do attach myself to a very terrible trade because I FOMO'd in. All right. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Thanks so much for joining me here. Make sure you join us over at Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. I'm going to post a playout chart here shortly. It's available for you there. And of course, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks again. Take care.